Well, hey, and welcome to Menlo. My name is Mark, and I'm so glad that you're here. I hope that you had an amazing Easter. And if you hadn't had a chance to check out that service, go ahead, check that out after this. But again, welcome. Whether this is your first time with us or thousandth time here, we're so glad that you're with us. We have an amazing service starting right now. That is our Student Sunday. It's the end of our Around the Table Feasting Through the Gospel of John series, and it's a glimpse into what a truly multi-generational church can look like. I hear the band getting started right now, so let's go ahead and check out some worship.
Have you ever had a conversation with somebody from a different generation when all of a sudden you realize, I have no clue what on earth they're saying? If you have, you are not alone.
What's your bag?
How rich are you?
What,
How much do you make?
like what do you...
What's your problem?
What type of...
Don't flip your wig.
No idea.
What?
Don't freak out.
Yeah, don't
Chill out.
Yeah,
Chill.
Stop dipping in my Kool-Aid.
Leave me alone. Mind your own business? Yeah, mind your own business.
What a fry.
Make me an English breakfast.
I mean, I like fries. Maybe something good. What a loser.
Gnarly.
Oh, that's a surfer word. It's like that's a surfer word. Like that's gnarly, dude. Like cool. Crazy gnarly, bro.
Bad.
Bad, just like the normal word bad. Good.
Well done.
Wow, yay.
As if.
Like that's a strong no.
I'm too young for this, literally.
We're gonna find out if they know the words of the youthful generation. You just got punked, man.
I'm so on fleek about this.
Oh.
Glow up.
Reach your full potential.
From the original Hebrew, it has to do with when Moses' face shone from the Lord's presence. And so the youth culture of today use it as a way of saying that you are shining as if God is with you.
Like you were a 5 and now you're a 10.
Yeah, perfect.
Stan.
A guy.
It's a flat Stanley. He was like a cartoon character.
That's the name of my friend. It's Stan.
Yeah, I like Stan. Good guy.
Yeah.
Nothing. Got nothing on that.
It's like being a fan, groupie.
No cap.
I have heard, and I think I heard what it was, and I still don't know.
Hatless.
No cap is really from the reference within Scripture when Peter would often fall down and pray, and his kneecaps eventually fell off.
Oh, that means don't lie. I'm good on that one.
Chuggy.
No clue.
Say that again?
Chugi.
Chugi. Is that a Pokemon game?
Feel like that's an illicit substance.
Are these actual terms?
Sip tea.
To sip some tea?
Yeah, what does it mean to sip tea?
To sip some tea. That was my answer.
To sip tea is a reference to a Kermit the Frog little picture in which Kermit is sipping tea, and it has to do with talking about your friends.
Tea is gossip.
Sheesh.
Y'all gonna edit me out of this.
What is it?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Don't just copy everything I say.
That's a deloading.
What does that mean?
It came from D'Angelo Russell when you got ice in your veins.
Oh, I got 0% of those.
I'm not hip. Welcome to your 30s.
They're fake words. Fake words. All right. We're so chugs right now.
We are. Youth pastors are notoriously chuggy.
Well, what's up, everybody? Welcome once again to Student Sunday. My name is Donovan. I am one of the student pastors here at the San Mateo campus. We are here at the San Mateo campus.
Are we? Oh yeah, and I'm Missy. I'm a student life group leader here at the San Mateo campus. And this Student Sunday is a wonderful opportunity for us to invite you into the world of students and learn how we can hang out with them better and walk with them on their path with Jesus.
Yes. And Missy, you do that every single week with an unmatched energy, if I may say so. But what is your favorite thing about serving with students?
Well, have you met them? Oh, you have. Okay. They're amazing, incredible, and so eager to learn, and they know how to have a good time.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for all that you do on behalf of our students and our student ministry. We're going to get to a little bit more about our students in just a moment. But before we get to that, we have a really awesome thing we want to let you know about that's coming up in just a few weeks. Baptism Sunday. It's happening on May 15th. Here at Menlo, we believe that baptism is an outward proclamation of an inward transformation that takes place when you give your life to Jesus. And so if you have recently become a follower of Jesus, or you've been a follower of Jesus for a while, but haven't been baptized, we would love to celebrate that next step with you. This is for students, this is for kids, this is for adults. It's happening on May 15th, and you can find out more information by going to menlo.church/baptism.
So good, and thank you to everyone whose generosity has helped, provide things like baptisms and Student Sunday, as well as our Menlo Students program. We get to do all the fun things like mission trips to Alaska, summer camp at Mount Herman, and of course our weekly life group meetings at every campus. It's through those weekly life group meetings that you really get to partner in your relationships with kids, connect with each other, learn about Jesus, and just walk through life together. It's always a good time.
Yeah. And so whether this is your first time giving or you give regularly, we would love to invite you to partner with us so that we can continue providing programs like Menlo Students and all of the wonderful ministries and programs that we have at Menlo Church. You can do it. It's really easy. You can follow the instructions on the screen. You can go to our online website. You can go on our app. But we would love to partner with you so that we can continue to do God's work here at Menlo Church. And we have been so blessed by this Around the Table series, and we are wrapping it up this week with a special message from Brett Horton, who's on our kids and students team. But before we get to that, we've also been doing these really cool recipes every single week. You did one.
Yes.
But we get a special one from some of our Menlo student staff and some of our students. So check this out.
Hey everyone, I'm Sam.
And I'm Caitlin.
And today for Student Sunday, we are continuing with our Around the Table series and making another recipe.
Yeah, so today we are actually making a snack you may find at Menlo Students.
Yeah, and you may recognize Caitlin. She is one of our local master bakers. She made an appearance on Sweet Talk a couple years ago. And I was inspired ever since those moments and thought that today I could teach her something in the kitchen. So let's get started. So for step one, we need to make the crust.
Yeah, and usually I wouldn't use a shopping bag, but we gotta work with what we've got, so.
Put all the ingredients inside and combine. You can use a nearby hammer or a mallet and really just do whatever you need to do to get everything nicely combined. We'll pour into a bowl in order to really combine that crust together.
Add some Capri Sun to kind of combine the mixture more together.
All right, and next we're gonna put in some salsa.
You can't forget the ranch drizzle on top. That's what really makes it good.
Time to move to the crumble portion. We
Okay.
got Chex Mix, Takis, and the
My
fan favorite
Sour Patch.
Sour Patch. And now we can pour it on top.
I think my mother would like me to add some greens on top of my snack.
That's
so
good. Oh, and I like the smiley face. Good touch. Bake until done. Wow, look at this.
Oh, the Menlo Student Special, perfect for all life groupings.
Welcome to Student Sunday. My name is Brett, and I am our Director of Next Gen Ministries here at Menlo. Student Sunday is my favorite Sunday of the year. Okay, I might be just a little bit biased, but hear me out. This generation is doing things that I never dreamed about doing as a teen. They're programming and developing apps that are changing lives. They're giving keynote speeches at marches, and through technology and social media, they're finding new ways to express their creativity and their gifts. And if you dig just a little deeper, you see that they have a passion for social justice, an awareness of the things going on in our world, and you see a joy for life and a deep desire to live a life of purpose. We talk about the next generation as though they are the next generation. But the reality is that they are this generation, and they are leading the charge for the generations to come. But here's something else about this generation that you may or may not know. The past 2 years of the pandemic took a toll on their mental health and well-being. Last month, CDC released a study that found that 1 in 3 high school students experienced poor mental health during the pandemic, with 44% reporting persistent feelings of sadness and hopelessness. Let that sit in for a second. Nearly 1 out of 2 students report persistent feelings of sadness and hopelessness. But are we surprised? I mean, they've experienced being sheltered in place for months on end. They've missed out on huge moments in life like the first day at a new school, prom, or graduation. They've witnessed social unrest and political insurrection. They've had friends move away. They've had parents lose their jobs. They've lost loved ones, and some never actually getting the chance to say goodbye in person. And it's in this tension between seemingly limitless possibilities and these feelings of anxiety and loneliness that we find this generation. And that is why I love Student Sunday. Because Student Sunday is an opportunity for us, the church, to step into this tension and come around this incredible generation and say, we see you, we love you, and you belong here, not just today, but every day. And I can't think of a better time to talk about the next generation than a week after celebrating the new life and hope that we find in Jesus' resurrection and his charge to his followers to feed his sheep. So today, for just a little moment, we're going to take some time to look at one more meal around a table, or more specifically, the journey to the table. And as we do that, we're going to hear a few students' stories as we ask the question, how can we, Menlo Church, come alongside the next generation to help them discover that Jesus has a spot prepared for them at his table? So on the day that Jesus was resurrected, in Luke chapter 24, we read this. We read, on the same day, 2 disciples were traveling to a village called Emmaus, about 7 miles from Jerusalem. They were talking to each other about everything that had happened. Now, while they were discussing these things, Jesus himself arrived and joined them on their journey, but they were prevented from recognizing him. I want to pause right here because there is an important detail that I don't want us to miss. We read that they were traveling away from Jerusalem. The majority of Luke, chapters 9 through 19, is known as the travel narrative. Jesus starts his ministry in Galilee, and throughout those 11 chapters, he's slowly making his way to Jerusalem, which is the place where God's redemptive plan for all people will be fulfilled. And along this road, meals are shared, miracles are happening, and Jesus is gaining followers left and right. Likely, these 2 walking on the road right now were 2 of those followers. And with each leg of the journey, the hopes and expectations of who Jesus is are building. Would he be the one who would redeem Israel and overthrow their oppressors? All signs are pointing to absolutely yes. And that when Jesus finally reached Jerusalem, people lined the streets to give him a hero's welcome. But as we've heard in the previous weeks, the celebration in Jerusalem is cut short, as Jesus, along with the hopes and expectations of all of these people, is killed on that cross. In the people's minds, it's hard to redeem Israel if you're not alive. But now fast forward to this moment, right here on the road. Instead of walking towards this place of hope in what is to come, they're now walking back away with heavy hearts and unmet expectations. Have you ever faced disappointment? Have you ever had expectations left unmet or wondered, what am I supposed to do now? For many of our students, possibly for many of you, this is where you are finding yourselves. This is where they are finding themselves today. But it is at this moment, on this path of uncertainty, that Jesus arrives and joins them on their journey. For a couple of moments, I want to invite you to listen to Megan as she shares her story. And as she does, see if you can notice how Jesus shows up on her path.
My name is Megan, and I've been going to Menlo Church since I was 5 years old. 8th grade was the hardest time of my life, especially nowadays, with phones and everything, being exposed to so much. I just didn't know how to handle it. But the one stable relationship I had was with the church and with my youth group and my youth group leaders. It's really, really impactful to have adults who aren't your parents, especially at that age, who can just really listen to you and tell you that everything is going to be okay. My life group leaders now, Cindy and Christine, if you're watching, hi. They started being our life group leaders when we were in 6th grade, and now I'm in 11th grade. So they've pretty much walked me through every hardship I've ever had. I just remember this one time at fall camp when I had my one-on-one time with Cindy. I was just crying, and she was just listening to me cry. I really had so much that I just needed to spill out. And Cindy gave me an opportunity to do that. And I've never forgotten that moment. I've just always had Jesus be kind of like a thing that I do every Sunday. My life group leaders really talked me through it and explained how to tie in Jesus with my life. He's really a solid foundation that I can lean on and just something that will always be constant in my life. I think the best thing adults can do for students is to just listen to them and validate their feelings. To just really listen, keep an open mind. Instead of teaching, just support.
Thank you, Megan, for inviting us into your story. When life was difficult and Megan didn't even fully know what was going on, Jesus showed up on her path. And he showed up through the leaders who took time to see her, to listen to her, and to walk with her. There's power in showing up on someone's path and walking with them. Now, as we go back to Luke, Jesus joins the disciples on their path, and he says this. He says, "What are you talking about as you walk along?" They stopped, their faces downcast. The one named Cleopas replied and said, "Are you the only visitor in Jerusalem who is unaware of the things that have taken place these days?" And Jesus says to them, "What things?" Now, if this were a sitcom, this would be that moment where Jesus slyly looks at the camera and gives us a little wink. He says to them, they say to him, "The things about Jesus of Nazareth. Because of his powerful deeds and the words, he was recognized by God and all the prophets, or all the people, as a prophet. But our chief priests, our leaders, handed him over to be sentenced to death, and they crucified him. We had hoped that he would be the one who would redeem Israel. All these things happened just 3 days ago, but there's more. Some women from our group have left us stunned. They went to the tomb early this morning, and they didn't find his body. They came to us saying that they even had seen visions of angels who told us that he is alive. Some who were with us also went to the tomb, and they found things just as the women said. They didn't see him." Jesus is here with them on the road, walking away from Jerusalem, knowing why their faces are downcast. But what does he do? He asks questions. He leads with curiosity by showing interest in what is going on inside of them. And he walks with them on their path. You see, for Jesus, the journey and letting people know that he is on it with them is just as important as the destination. Because growth often doesn't happen in the answers, but instead in the wrestling with the questions along the journey. I mean, think about the last time that you went through a difficult time in life. What was most helpful to you from others? I'm willing to bet that the most helpful people were those who just came alongside you and went through it with you. They didn't try to fix. They didn't try to tell you how it's going to be better. They just went with you and maybe even brought you a meal in the process. Once again, there's power in knowing someone understands you and wants to walk with you. One of the most common things I hear from people who want to serve with students is this. They say, "I want to make a difference in their lives and teach them what I wished I had learned when I was their age." Now, the heart behind this statement is so pure. It's so good, and I said the same thing at one point. But if we enter into someone's world thinking, "I can't wait for them to learn from me," we've already failed. A recent study from Barna found that 64% of Gen Z say that they mainly trust their peers for insight and advice. And they also found, which I don't think is unrelated, that 7 of 10 people agree that older generations don't fully understand the pressure that they're under. But here's the irony. That same percentage of students say they would actually feel comfortable seeking wisdom from other generations. So here they are open to seeking wisdom from other generations, but they don't. Why? Well, because we often don't seek to understand. We lead by saying, "Let me tell you," instead of, "Hey, won't you tell me more?" Such a small shift in our approach to the next generation can make a life-changing impact. I want to invite you to listen to the story of Owen as he shares a little bit of his journey here at Menlo.
Hi, I'm Owen. I've been at Menlo for as long as I can remember. Leaders and adults, especially life group leaders, they've helped to support me through the toughest moments of my life. They've always guided me and supported me, as well as given me advice on the decisions I make, and they've helped to keep me closer to God through those moments. Our life group, it doesn't even feel like a group, it feels more like a family. I've been serving on the production team at the Menlo Park campus since 6th grade. It's become one of my huge passions. I don't think any kids were a part of, especially the production team, and I was working with adults that were over twice my age, probably over twice my height, considering my height at that time. They welcomed me with open arms. They were encouraging of what I want to learn. A church statement that stuck with me is everyone's welcome. I feel like I'll be a child of God no matter what I try. I found him through production. It's something I enjoy, and I try and let others know about Jesus through that, and I hope that others can find Jesus through the activities that they love.
Thank you, Owen, and thank you so much to his leaders, to the production team, and to all of our incredible volunteers for creating a space for students. Now, as you listened, what made Owen feel like he belongs? Well, he said people simply took an interest in what was happening in his life, and they created a space for him to learn and grow. So far on the road to Emmaus, we've seen that Jesus walks with these people on their path. He takes time to listen to them and let them know that he's with them in their disappointment. And now, let's go back to the road to see what Jesus does next. Jesus says to them, "You foolish people, your dull minds keep you from believing all that the prophets talked about. Wasn't it necessary for the Christ to suffer these things and then enter into his glory?" Then he interpreted for them all the things written about himself in all the scriptures, starting with Moses and going through the prophets. When talking about this passage, Donovan, one of our student pastors, said, "Man, if this story isn't the discipleship model, I don't know if I've ever seen one." Seeing someone on their path, taking time to walk with them, listening to them, understanding them, and then guiding them to the truth of God's word. That's discipleship. Boy, what I would give to be a fly on the wall in that conversation. Whatever was being said had the disciples captivated along this 7-mile journey, because as they started to reach their destination, Luke tells us that Jesus acted as though he was going on ahead, but they urged him, saying, "Stay with us. It's nearly evening. The day is almost over." So he went to stay with them. And after he took a seat at the table with them, he took the bread. He blessed it, and he broke it, and he gave it to them. Their eyes were opened, and they recognized him, but he disappeared from their sight. They said to each other, "Weren't our hearts on fire when he spoke to us along the road, and when he explained the scriptures to us?" Then they got up right then and returned to Jerusalem. Their 7-mile journey of walking together, asking questions, listening, and talking together eventually leads them to a table. And it is around the table where their eyes were open to the truth of who was sitting right there with them. The one they were missing was walking with them all along, and what started as this long, hopeless journey away from Jerusalem has now become a joyous 7-mile return, bursting with this newfound hope in the resurrected Jesus. Now I want to invite you to listen to just one more story. And this is the story of a student sharing about his journey with Jesus.
My family's always been very God-centered, but I never really understood the meaning and the gravity of really who God is and why we come together. I came for the donuts, I came for the bagels, because those are just so good. But I also just didn't really know why we were here and what we were really doing. Through experiences and through relationships with people, God really transformed my life, and just one day just called on me. We went to a mission trip in Agua Viva, Mexico, many years ago. This little kid came up to me and he was tugging on my arm. He's like, "Can I show you my house?" And I was like, "Yeah, of course." And he leads me to this little tin shack, and he was just so proud and so happy, and it was really a slap in the face. Yeah, I was just like, wow, like we take so much for granted. It was moments like those when I look back now and just see how God has always been there in my life, even when I didn't put him first. And my mom, she's really walked with me through my faith and through my journey with God, by just being patient and being understanding and loving towards me. Now that I've really, started to follow God and live my life with God, our relationship has just turned into something that I never would have expected, and I'm very grateful for that. In this past summer, I felt really called to start a Bible study, and that was kind of a leap of faith for me, because I was worried. Well, what if it doesn't go right? What if people laugh at me for it? What if my friends think I'm crazy? I sent out a text to like 12 guys, and it's turned into this amazing thing that I would have never expected it to turn into. It's just so amazing to have a group of guys in high school that come together and talk about God and talk about what we're going through and are just vulnerable with each other. My relationship with Jesus has totally changed me. People that I know from before I started walking along with Jesus, they noticed the change too. They're always asking me and cracking jokes about the new John. That was smooth like butter.
Thank you for sharing, John. When asked who were people that impacted his faith, John said two people, his mom and his athletic director. Two people who said, "I'm gonna walk with you." They saw John, they joined him on his path, and now John is walking with his friends as they walk with Jesus together. I want you to hear that the Jesus who walked with the disciples and filled their lives with a newfound hope 2,000 years ago, that Jesus is still filling students and people's lives with joy and hope today. We are living in this unique time when the next generation is leaving the church at an alarming rate. But at the same time, the desire to know truth and an interest in the spiritual things, it's on the rise. The Barna study that I've mentioned multiple times found that younger non-Christians today are twice as likely to express interest in Christianity than older non-Christians. Montague Williams, a professor of church culture and society at Point Loma University, said, "The next generation is leaving the church in order to find the church." They desire to see and to follow Jesus. And the question for us is, will we come alongside them and show them a Jesus who will walk with them in their pains, who will listen to their disappointments, who will hold their doubts and their questions, who will stoke the fire burning in their hearts and will say, "I have a spot for you at my table." Here's my question for us today. Whose path are you on? In the stories we've heard about life group leaders, parents, production volunteers, and adults in their everyday job. You could say that in the stories we heard today, we heard about the church seeing students on their path and saying, "I'm going to walk with them and I'm going to listen to them. I'm going to help them see that Jesus has a spot for them at his table." Who is a kid or a student in your life with whom you can walk? Maybe it's a neighbor or a student of a coworker. Maybe if you're a parent, it's your own kids. Again, I ask, whose path are you on? A question I often get asked is this: if I don't really know a student, but I want to, what should I do? Well, my first suggestion, talk to Menlo kids or Menlo student staff. Talk to your directors about joining our team, or find help finding an organization that partners with the next generation. All of our leaders go through safety and life group leader training so that they're equipped to keep our students safe and to walk with them on their path with Jesus. But being a church that comes alongside the next generation isn't just about serving with kids and students. It could mean getting to know a family and finding out how you can care for and support the parents. Maybe you go with them to their kids' events and be their #1 fan, or you could be like an adopted grandparent. You could drop off a meal so that they could spend a little extra time connecting as a family. It could mean finding out who kids and student life group leaders are and taking them out for coffee to thank them for all that they do, and finding out how you can be praying for their students. Or maybe you're part of a life group. Your life group could commit to adopting a student life group and committing to praying for that group every time that you're together. Now, if you're a parent, maybe it could look like this. Maybe it looks like showing an interest in your kids or your students' friends as you drive them in their carpool or maybe while they're hanging out. Or you could just ask the question, who am I inviting to walk with my student? Fuller Youth Institute has found that students who have 5 non-parental Jesus-following adults praying for, encouraging, and walking with them are more likely to develop a lifelong faith. Who are 5 people you can ask to join your student on their path? Now, I want to give you one warning. I want to warn you that walking with the next generation may be uncomfortable. I mean, Jesus had to walk 7 miles out of the way with the disciples to talk and listen to them. And you may have to walk 2 miles, you may have to walk 10, you may have to walk along a seemingly never-ending path before they find their spot at the table. They may also challenge some of the things that you thought you knew. Your heart may break as you hear what they're going through. You may be challenged to let go of some of the comforts or preferences that you have in order to let them know that they belong. But let me tell you something. When you hear stories like Megan's and Owen's and John's, you realize that it is all worth it. So let me ask you again. Whose path are you on? If you're in one of our rooms, you received a card as you came in with a question on the top and a blank to write down the name of a student who came to mind as I was talking. And if you're at home, simply write down a name or type it in on your phone. If you don't know a student, we've put the first names of all of our students in a random name generator at menlo.church/studentprayer, and you can go there to receive the name of someone to pray for. And I want you to commit to praying for the student by name every single day. And if you don't know what to pray for, simply pray for them to see Jesus walking with them every day. Friends, the next generation is here. Help us, help Menlo Church be a church that follows in Jesus' footsteps by seeing students on their path, by walking with them in their highs and their lows, their questions and their doubts, and helping them see that Jesus has a spot prepared for them at his table. Will you pray with me? God, we lift up all of our students, all of our kids, this next generation who doesn't even know who you are, up to you. And God, we ask that you give us your eyes. Help us to see the students walking around us in the ways that you are inviting us to walk alongside of them, not to make us feel good, but so that they can know the hope and the life that is found in you and you alone. God, we give this generation to you, and we love you. In your name, amen.
Abraham, you're the God of covenant and faithful promises. Time and time again, you have proven do just what you said. Though the storms may come and the winds may blow, I'll remain steadfast and let my heart learn when you speak the word. Faithfulness
Thanks for joining us in worship today. We're so grateful that you are here to hear those wonderful stories from our students and to be inspired. There might be somebody in your life, a student that needs an encouragement, that needs to hear about the love of Jesus, and I pray that you would write that name down right now while you're thinking about it and continue to pray and see what God might do for them. We're thankful for all the ways, all the folks who volunteer day in and day out to encourage our students and to inspire the next generation. Thank you for your service. And we do hope that God would touch your heart and help you to be someone who walks alongside others who need the love and hope of Jesus. And now, as you go, may the love of God, the grace of Jesus Christ, and the power and presence of the Spirit be with you now and always. Amen. See you next week.
And show you something. Redo.
Where should this go?
Bad means good. That's butter.
It's the stuff that's made out of the stuff that comes out of cows.
Okay.
What type of Yeah? Totally. See ya.
Stop filming me.
The next guy.